Picture this. Kensington Palace, 1996. Behind a locked bathroom door, a 4-year-old boy is kneeling on the floor. He can hear his mother sobbing on the other side. Not quiet tears. The kind of crying that shakes the walls. The kind that has no end. And this little boy, this tiny child, does the only thing he can think to do. He folds up tissues, one by one, and slides them under the door. And then, in the softest voice, he whispers something that nobody in the royal family was ever supposed to take seriously. "Don't worry, Mummy. I will give it back to you. One day, when I am king." That little boy was Prince William. And honey, he has not forgotten a single word of that promise. Now here we are, almost 30 years later. The world has watched an absolutely jaw-dropping story unfold in slow motion. We watched Camilla Parker Bowles go from the most hated woman in Britain to sitting on the actual throne. We watched her transform her image, step by careful step, from royal homewrecker to queen consort. We watched her take the title, the jewels, the palace, the ceremonies, and the balcony appearances that were supposed to belong to someone else entirely. And through all of it, Prince William smiled for the cameras. He stood in formation. He played the dutiful son, the loyal royal, the steady future king. He never threw a public tantrum. He never gave an explosive interview spilling secrets like his brother Harry did. He just watched, and waited, and planned. Because here is what most people have completely missed about Prince William. His silence is not acceptance. His patience is not forgiveness. His silence is a strategy. And the plan he has been quietly executing for 3 decades is so methodical, so brilliant, and so absolutely ruthless that by the time Camilla realizes what is happening, it will already be too late. Today, we are going to walk through exactly how Prince William intends to dismantle Queen Camilla's legacy, restore his mother's honor, and fulfill the promise he made as a 4-year-old boy on a cold palace floor. And trust us, the final move, the moment everything comes together at once, is going to leave you completely speechless. Let's start at the beginning, because to truly understand what is coming for Camilla, you have to understand just how devastating what happened to Diana actually was. When Prince Charles and Princess Diana divorced in 1996, a lot of people focused on the public drama, the panorama interview, the admission of the affair, the breakdown of the fairy tale. But the moment that changed everything, the moment that actually had permanent legal consequences, happened quietly, without cameras, with nothing but a royal decree and a stroke of a pen. Queen Elizabeth II issued what is called a letters patent. That is a formal royal instrument, a legal document that carries the force of law without needing Parliament's approval. And this specific letters patent stated that former wives of British princes would no longer be entitled to the style of Royal Highness. Just like that, Diana went from Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales to simply Diana, Princess of Wales. 3 letters removed. HRH gone. Now most people think Queen Elizabeth wanted this. She did not. Multiple sources have confirmed that it was Prince Charles himself who pushed hardest for Diana to lose that title. The Queen was reportedly willing to let Diana keep it, but Charles insisted, and Charles got what he wanted. So why does it matter so much? Why are 3 little letters worth talking about decades later? Because those 3 letters were everything. They were Diana's armor. Without Her Royal Highness status, Diana lost her direct connection to the palace's security structure. She lost her institutional protection. She was cut off from the family apparatus at the exact moment when the tabloid press was at its most vicious and most dangerous. And perhaps most humiliating of all, she was now formally required to curtsy to minor royals who had openly despised her for years. People who were nothing compared to her in the eyes of the public had to be bowed to by the most beloved woman on the planet. It was the monarchy's way of saying, "You are no longer one of us." And it happened because one man demanded it. The same man who had been conducting a secret affair for years. The same man who would eventually marry the woman he had chosen over Diana. While Diana was being stripped of her protection and pushed out into the cold, Camilla Parker Bowles was being carefully, quietly, methodically ushered in from the shadows. And the campaign to rehabilitate her image was one of the most sophisticated public relations operations in modern royal history. First, it was a carefully staged appearance outside the Ritz Hotel. Just a photo. Just a glimpse. Testing the waters. Then came the gradual public appearances with Charles. Then moving into Clarence's house together. Then, in 2005, the wedding. And at that wedding, the British public was given an explicit promise. Out of respect for Diana's memory, Camilla would never take the title of Queen. She would be known as Princess Consort. That was the deal. That was the compromise offered to a grieving world that had never fully accepted her. That promise was broken, and nobody in the palace apologized for it. Today, Queen Camilla sits on the throne of the United Kingdom. She wears the crown. She occupies every ceremonial space that was meant for Diana. She has the protection of King Charles III, who is absolutely devoted to her and has made it crystal clear that the entire palace machine will work in her favor. From where she stands right now, Camilla has won. Completely and totally. But here is the thing about power in the British monarchy. It is never truly yours. It belongs to whoever is wearing the crown. And the person who is about to be wearing that crown spent his childhood sliding tissues under a locked bathroom door. Now let us talk about what William has already been doing, because this is where it gets really good. William is not waiting to become king to start making his moves. He has been playing this game for years, in plain sight, and the press has been calling it sentiment and tribute, when really it is something far more calculated. The single most important move William has made so far did not involve a speech, a legal document, or a confrontation. It involved a ring. When William proposed to Catherine Middleton in 2010, he could have chosen anything. A new diamond, a custom design, something modern and fresh. Instead, he reached into the royal vault and pulled out his mother's engagement ring. The 12-carat Ceylon sapphire surrounded by 14 diamonds set in 18-carat white gold. The most famous piece of jewelry in modern royal history. Princess Diana's ring. The world called it romantic. They called it a beautiful tribute to his mother. And yes, it was both of those things. But in the unspoken language of royal power, it was something else entirely. It was a declaration. Think about what that ring does every single day. Every time Catherine appears in public, every time she shakes hands with a president, attends a state dinner, sits across a table from Camilla herself, that ring is there. That enormous, unmistakable, impossibly famous blue sapphire catching every light in every room. It is a constant, living, inescapable reminder that Diana has never left, that her memory sits at the center of the royal family's future, that no matter how many times Camilla appears on that Buckingham Palace balcony, there is someone in the room wearing Diana's ring. Camilla cannot escape it. She cannot compete with it. And William knew exactly what he was doing when he put it on Catherine's finger. But the ring is just one piece of a much larger strategy. Because William did not just give Catherine a piece of jewelry. He gave her a role. He has spent years carefully, deliberately guiding his wife to embody everything Diana represented at her very best. The hands-on approach with children. Diana pioneered that. The royals were not supposed to crouch down to a child's eye level, hold a patient's hand in a hospital ward, or hug a stranger on a public walkabout. Diana did it anyway, and the world adored her for it. Catherine does it too, and the world responds the same way. The genuine warmth in crowds. Diana had a quality that no PR consultant can manufacture. She made people feel seen. She made a person in a crowd feel like the most important person in the room. Catherine has that same quality, and William has made sure she is given every opportunity to show it. The specific causes. Diana threw her public platform behind issues the royal establishment considered beneath them. Homelessness, HIV and AIDS, landmines, mental health, childhood development. These were not glamorous causes in the 1980s and 90s. They were controversial, uncomfortable, and deeply personal to her. William has taken those exact same causes and made them the entire foundation of his and Catherine's public work. The mental health campaign, Heads Together, the homelessness charity Centerpoint. These are not coincidences. They are continuations. And then there is the title. Oh, the title. When Camilla married Charles in 2005, she legally became the Princess of Wales. Diana's title. The title the whole world associated with the woman Camilla had replaced. And the palace knew instantly that the public would absolutely not accept it. So Camilla was hidden behind the lesser title of Duchess of Cornwall. Every single day, for years, that title was a quiet concession, an acknowledgement that Diana's shadow was too powerful to step into directly. Then Queen Elizabeth passed away. Charles became king. William became Prince of Wales. And Catherine, without hesitation, without controversy, with nothing but genuine global celebration, became the Princess of Wales. The contrast was so clean it almost looked choreographed. Because while Camilla had to hide from that title for nearly 2 decades, Catherine walked into it like it had always been hers, like it was waiting for her. Because in William's plan, it was. And the jewelry does not stop with the engagement ring. William has ensured that Catherine has full access to the most iconic pieces from Diana's personal collection. When Catherine appears at state dinners wearing the lover's knot tiara, which was Diana's absolute favorite piece, the one she wore repeatedly and with obvious joy, it is not just fashion. When she wears Diana's pearl chokers, her bracelets, her earrings, she is not just paying tribute. She is functioning as Diana's presence in every room. She is making sure that at every grand occasion, at every moment where the world's cameras are pointed at the royal family, Diana is visually, undeniably, strikingly there. Camilla's entire public image makeover has cost an extraordinary amount of money, time, and palace resources. And it still cannot compete with a woman wearing a blue sapphire ring and a tiara that belong to the people's princess. That is the brilliance of what William has constructed. He is not attacking Camilla. He is not leaking stories to the press. He is not breaking protocols or making speeches. He is simply presenting the world with something better, something more real, something that the public chooses every single time without being asked. And the public has chosen, consistently, overwhelmingly, year after year, the public chooses Catherine. They choose Diana's ring. They choose Diana's causes. They choose Diana's legacy, embodied in a living, breathing, radiant woman who is married to Diana's son. Camilla cannot fight that. Nobody can fight that. But here is where it gets even more serious. Because popularity is powerful, symbolism is powerful, but neither of them changes the law. And what William is preparing to do the moment he becomes king goes far beyond jewelry and public image. He is preparing to use the full constitutional weight of the British crown to rewrite history itself. Let us talk about what actually happens on the day King Charles III passes away. Under British constitutional law, the transfer of power is instantaneous. The moment Charles dies, the phrase that has been spoken for centuries becomes reality. The king is dead. Long live the king. There is no transition period, no provisional government, no committee deciding what happens next. In the fraction of a second that it takes to speak those words, William becomes sovereign, King William V. And in that exact same fraction of a second, Camilla's world changes completely. She is no longer the wife of the reigning monarch. She becomes a queen dowager, a widow of a king. And crucially, she is not the mother of the new king. Her status, her funding, her housing, her security detail, her public role, every single aspect of her life inside the royal institution is now subject to the absolute authority of King William V, the man who slid tissues under a locked bathroom door. Let us talk about the specific legal instrument William is going to use, because this is the part that should make Camilla very, very nervous. Remember the letters patent from 1996? The royal decree that stripped Diana of her HRH title? That document did not disappear. It is still technically the governing instrument that defines the rules around royal titles for former spouses. But here is the thing about a letters patent that the palace never advertised when they used it against Diana. It is not permanent. It can be overwritten. It can be amended. It can be completely reversed by the stroke of the next sovereign's pen. When William becomes king, he will be the sole fountain of honor in the United Kingdom. That is not a symbolic phrase. It is a constitutional one. It means he is the single source of all royal titles, honors, and styles. He does not need Parliament's permission to change royal titles within his own family. He does not need to consult anyone. He picks up a pen and he writes a new decree. And William has made a promise. A specific, word-for-word, 30-year-old promise. He told his mother he would give it back. He told her he would do it when he was king. A new letters patent, issued by King William V, can posthumously restore the style of Her Royal Highness to Diana, Princess of Wales. Legally, permanently, officially enshrined in the royal archives for the rest of history. Not as a disgraced former wife who was pushed out of the family, not as a sad footnote in Charles's biography, but as Her Royal Highness Diana, Princess of Wales, the honored, rightful, beloved mother of the sovereign king. One document, one signature. 30 years of injustice, undone. And the same pen that restores Diana's title can, in the very same motion, begin the systematic dismantling of everything Camilla has built. Let us walk through exactly what William has the power to do the moment that crown is on his head. First, the royal residences. Camilla currently enjoys the luxury of Clarence House and Highgrove, both crown properties. William controls the crown estate entirely. He decides where the Queen Dowager lives after Charles is gone. He can keep her in London, or he can quietly, politely, with perfect constitutional propriety, relocate her to a much smaller, much less prestigious property somewhere in the countryside. Far from the cameras, far from the center, just far. Second, the royal vault. Camilla currently has access to the monarch's jewelry collection. The second William is king, that access is his to grant or deny. And Catherine, as queen, will be the one deciding what gets worn, when, and by whom. The answer to whether Camilla gets to continue wearing historically significant pieces is going to be a very short conversation. Third, the patronages. Over the years, Camilla has carefully assembled a portfolio of royal patronages. Charities, military affiliations, cultural institutions, all the respectable titles that helped transform her public image from affair to establishment. William has the authority to reassign every single one of them. Quietly, administratively, without drama. Just a letter to the relevant organization saying that going forward, the patronage will be held by someone else. That someone else will almost certainly be Catherine. Fourth, the order of precedence. This is the invisible architecture of power inside the British royal family. It determines who walks where, who sits where, who stands where at every official event. It dictates who is photographed in the center and who ends up at the edge of frame. William will control this entirely. He can ensure that at every future state occasion, every public ceremony, every royal gathering, Camilla is positioned exactly as far from the center of power as protocol allows. Fifth, the royal archives. William will be the gatekeeper of history. He will decide which documents relating to his parents' marriage are sealed for a century and which ones are released. He will determine what the historical record says about what really happened inside that marriage, about who pushed for what, about what was demanded and what was denied. Diana's truth, her version of events, her experience, can be protected and ultimately released by the hand of her son. Sixth, the biographers. The palace has historically cooperated with approved biographers writing sympathetic accounts of senior royals. That cooperation means access, interviews, confirmation of details, and an unofficial seal of legitimacy. King William will withdraw every drop of official cooperation from anyone attempting to write a narrative that justifies or romanticizes the affair that broke his mother's heart. The days of palace-approved Camilla rehabilitation are over the moment Charles is gone. Seventh, the slimmed-down monarchy. William has been openly championing a leaner, more focused royal family for years. His vision of a modernized monarchy is one that concentrates public-facing royal duties on a small core of working royals, and his version of that core has absolutely zero room for Camilla's children or grandchildren. No balcony appearances, no official roles, no royal spotlight for anyone from that side of the family. Her bloodline's connection to the institution ends with her. Eighth, Diana's work. William has spent years deliberately elevating the causes Diana championed into globally recognized institutions. The Diana Award for young people making a difference in the world, Centerpoint for youth homelessness, Heads Together for mental health. Every time one of these initiatives makes headlines, every time they win international recognition, every time they help someone, Diana's legacy grows stronger. And every additional inch of space Diana's legacy occupies is one less inch for anything attached to Camilla's name. Ninth, the children. George, Charlotte, and Louis are being raised by parents who speak openly and lovingly about their grandmother Diana. William and Catherine have made certain that the heirs to the throne know who Diana was, what she stood for, and why she matters. The next three people in the line of succession are growing up with Diana in their hearts. Camilla has no meaningful presence in their emotional world. The future of the British monarchy, The human beings who will wear the crown for the next century will trace their values and their purpose directly back to the people's princess. 10th, the first speech. When William addresses the nation for the first time as king, every person on the planet will be watching. A single, carefully chosen tribute to his mother in that inaugural address will set the tone for his entire reign and for every history book written about it. It will be the moment the world officially understands whose son is now wearing the crown. None of these 10 moves require William to raise his voice. None of them require a confrontation. None of them are dramatic or illegal or even particularly surprising. They are simply the natural, quiet, devastating exercise of sovereign power by a man who has been planning this for 30 years. And they all lead to one day, one single event that ties every thread together. The coronation of King William V. Imagine the scene. Westminster Abbey, the most famous church in the English-speaking world. Streets paralyzed by millions of people. Television broadcasts breaking viewership records. A global audience hanging on every moment. Inside the Abbey, the atmosphere is electric. Not tense, not complicated, not burdened by public ambivalence the way the 2023 coronation quietly was. Electric. Because this is not a coronation people are tolerating. This is a coronation the world has been waiting for. And seated in the pews, as a surviving Queen Dowager, required by constitutional protocol to attend, required to witness the transfer of power, is Camilla. She cannot send her apologies. She cannot claim she is unwell. She cannot simply not show up. Protocol demands her presence. She has to be there. She has to sit in those pews, stripped of sovereignty, stripped of the power that protected her for decades, and watch. She will watch Catherine walk down that nave. Catherine, wearing Diana's ring. Catherine, almost certainly in some of Diana's most extraordinary jewelry. Catherine, who has the genuine love of the public that Camilla spent 2 decades of calculated effort trying to manufacture and never once achieved. Catherine, who carries the title that Camilla had to hide from. Catherine, walking towards the crown. And when the Archbishop of Canterbury lowers that crown onto Catherine's head, the transformation is complete. Every ounce of historical significance, every drop of institutional relevance, every shred of the spotlight that Camilla has been standing in transfers in one single moment to the woman carrying Diana's legacy forward. Camilla does not get replaced in that moment. She gets erased. There is a difference. Replaced means something new takes your spot. Erased means the world looks at the spot you were standing in and sees only the person who was always meant to be there. William will be sitting on the throne of St. Edward. He will not need to say a word. He will not need to show any emotion at all. The fact of his existence in that seat, the fact of that ring on his wife's finger as the crown descends, the fact that Diana's son is the king, is the ending of a story that began on a cold palace floor with a box of tissues and a whispered promise. And when the music fades and the new king and queen return to Buckingham Palace, there will be a document waiting on the sovereign's desk. A new letters patent. A restoration of Her Royal Highness Diana, Princess of Wales. One signature. 30 years. Done. Here is what people keep getting wrong about this story. They frame it as a family feud. They frame it as petty royal drama, as unresolved grief, as a son who never moved on. But that is not what this is. This is about something much bigger than one family's private wounds. This is about whether an institution as powerful as the British monarchy gets to simply rewrite its own history without consequence. Whether it gets to strip a woman of her dignity using the force of law and then act like it never happened. Whether the people who wielded that power against Diana get to simply live out their days in the palace she was pushed out of, surrounded by the titles she was denied, sitting on the throne she should have sat on. William is the answer to that question, and his answer is no. Camilla has had her time at the center of this story. She has had the protection, the crown, the ceremonies, and the man. But all of that was borrowed. All of it was dependent on a single source. And when that source is gone, the person who steps into his place is the boy from the bathroom floor. Diana did not win her war by destroying the monarchy from the outside. She did not win it with the Panorama interview, though that was extraordinary. She did not win it by fighting the institution on its own terms. She won it by raising a son who understood that institution from the inside, who became its future, and who has spent his entire adult life quietly, patiently, brilliantly positioning himself to ensure that when the moment came, the outcome was never in doubt. Through William's constitutional power, through Catherine's embodiment of everything Diana represented, through George and Charlotte and Louis carrying her memory into the next century, Diana has done something Camilla never could. She has made herself permanent. She has made herself the future. The crown may sit on William's head, but the heart of the British monarchy will belong, now and forever, to the people's princess. And a little boy's promise, made through a locked door with a box of tissues and more love than any 4-year-old should ever have to carry, will finally, completely, and permanently be kept.